Welcome to tonight's episode. Tonight, we have the great Robert Stearns, retired Chief Petty Officer for the United States Navy. Bob's got a very interesting story. We served together back in 2015 on the same ship. Bob happened to get bit by a mosquito carrying Eastern Equine Encephalitis, and as a result had a brain swelling, 3 strokes, and was induced into a coma for actually 3 weeks. When he woke up, he couldn't talk, walk, feed, or bathe himself for months. And then after 9 months of inpatient rehab, he finally returned to work. But he really couldn't do the work he loved to do at the time, leading sailors in the Navy. So after that, he ended up being medically retired, and his wife and himself and dog moved to Georgia. For years after that, he fought depression, self-destruction. He drank a lot, chain smoked. But finally, in 2023, he quit drinking, started jiu-jitsu, got back in the gym, getting regular sleep and things like that. So Bob's got his story to tell us today. It's a great one. You'll notice Bob still struggles with speech, so he will be speaking with a text-to-voice program. So there might be some delay in there. You'll see there's some delay with after I question him or throw a question his way. But like I said, he's going to share his story. It's just great that we have him on tonight. So please stick around, stay tuned, and enjoy the episode.
3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, Bob, good to see you again. I know we gave this a shot before, but I think we got a better plan this time, and we'll knock it out. And appreciate you coming on to the podcast. I think it's going to be a good episode. So, we spent a lot of time together on USS Vicksburg during our time in the Navy. I know we didn't really work together closely, but I know we our paths came across a lot during our time there. But as far as I know, so you're currently retired from the Navy? Or medically retired? And what rank did you find? Chief Petty Officer. And so, can you give me a rundown on what exactly happened?
In September 2017, I was bit by a mosquito carrying Eastern Equine Encephalitis. As a result, I had 3 strokes and was in a coma for 3.5 weeks. I couldn't walk, talk, feed, or bathe myself for 4 months after I woke up.
Wow, that's crazy. So you were induced in a coma multiple times and then had a stroke, or multiple strokes?
80% of humans that are bit by a mosquito carrying it experience flu-like symptoms, and of those 10%, only 4% experience encephalitis.
4%, that's pretty low odds, and man, that's rough that it got you like that. What would you say is some of the harder things that from those first days you're in the hospital? What were some of the harder things you went through?
I don't remember much really, but when I woke up, the hardest thing was not being able to communicate. Being fully aware of your surrounding and not being able to move at all is pretty scary.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you went, because it seemed to happen so fast, right? I mean, I remember seeing some posts on Facebook saying like, what's going on? What the hell happened? And it just seemed to happen, right? It was crazy. So. And then while you were in the hospital, kind of what was your support group like? Like, who'd you turn to for support? I know that's an important thing.
It was absolutely phenomenal. From taking care of me to keeping everyone updated. I also have very supportive family and friends. Shout out to Uncle Bill.
Yeah, that's always a plus, right? I think the family support's a big thing. I mean, I think sometimes you see people that don't have it. So I think, I don't know, we're all blessed that, I think my family would be there if I had some issues or had some trouble. But obviously for you, that was a big part of probably your recovery, I would assume, too. And then, how long were you actually in the hospital for?
I was admitted on the 5th of September, 2017 and was discharged on the 18th of June, 2017.
Wow. Oh, 2018. So that's crazy. And that was in Jacksonville, right? Tampa. Gotcha. And then what happened after that? So then you were a bedboarder from the Navy, basically, for medical retirement.
Physically, but I still was not able to speak clearly after 3 limits, so my med board started in June 2019. My first results came back in January 2020. 50% disability and severance. No base access or insurance. I appealed and it wasn't until the 21st of March 2021 that I was retired with 100% DoD disability rating and an 80% VA rating. I had to fight with the VA, but June 2022, just over 3.5 years after getting sick, I was awarded 100 VA.
Oh, perfect. So you're 100 DoD and 100 VA. That's good. I know I stick there a little bit when you said you had to fight with the VA, because it seems like I know a lot of veterans have to fight for it. So it's the fact that, you know, in your situation you had to fight for it just seems more absurd than some other situations I see people in. And just for the folks out there, you know, let me explain the med board thing. You know, when you're in the Navy, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen. Sometimes you know, you have to be medically fit to be in the military. In some instances, you know, something could happen here, like in Bob's case. I actually had something in my background that popped up during my career that there was a question about going to a med board. It never happened. But what basically happens is your medical provider and all that will recommend you for a med board. And you go in front of a board and they basically see if you're still fit for duty. And, you know, you can argue it. You know, I know, like in Bob's case, he obviously didn't want to get out of the Navy. But kind of how the process flowed, you know, it ended him with a medical retirement. But it can go either way sometimes. It just depending on the situation. You know, you can see people stay in, you can see people get medically retired. It kind of ranges depending on what the issues are. And then for Bob, how was your initial? For you, how was your initial recovery? Like, what was that like?
Long time.
It took 6 years to accept the fact that I'm unable to do things now, to realize that that doesn't make me weak.
Yeah, I know that must have been especially hard for you, because I know, like, you were, I think we talked before, you were, you know, always into like bodybuilding, always had this awesome attitude, good leader, all that. So from going to like being able to, you know, be that strengthful leadership role type of person in the Chiefs mess for your sailors, and then all of a sudden for this to happen, I mean, I can't imagine the toll that took on you mentally, and kind of like you said, the support group you had. It's kind of an amazing support group that helped you through it.
Literally every aspect of my life was impacted.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, everything changed basically. And then, like you said earlier, it's not just like something, one little thing changed. You physically couldn't control any of it either. So it's not like, you know, it's not like you could really do anything about it. And the changes were just happening, and you physically couldn't do anything about it. You know, I mean, I know you slowly started to recover, but at the time, I can imagine it was just pure pandemonium.
I had to relearn how to do everything.
Yeah, that's like I said, I can't imagine being in your shoes for that. Just with everything going on, and then, like you said, having to relearn everything at the same time. Just you know, it's amazing that you know, recovery's gotten to the point where it is just an amazing story. Can you talk about that a little bit, your initial recovery, and maybe some of the challenges that you had?
The challenge at first was thinking I would be able to pick up right where I left off.
And once you realized that wasn't going to happen, where'd you go from there?
To a dark place.
I know you mentioned that to me before too when we talked. Can you maybe talk a little about that, or what brought you out of that dark place, or for people that might be in a similar situation, or just what helped you get out of those dark spots, dark times?
I don't think I will ever be out the dark, but I realized I can mitigate it with my action.
That makes sense. What kind of actions do you take to mitigate it? Jim? Yeah, I know a lot of people say the gym's a good spot for your mental health. I definitely, as I got older, it's funny, as I was younger, I wasn't a big gym person, but as I've gotten older, it's definitely, it's kind of like I'm kind of crazy. I like to go 4 a.m. and I have a nice gym here at the apartment that I live at. I try to go down there. It's literally me and this little old woman, and only people there 4 a.m. in the morning, but it's like an hour of time to like veg out and just work out. And yeah, I think, like you said, there's definitely some positives on the mental health side of working out and getting some physical fitness in. What about? Oh, sorry. I think you had mentioned too before. I'm assuming that family support helped you a little bit too with some of the dark places and just the struggles with the recovery. And then, what's kind of next for you recovery wise? What's the next step? Just no idea. I'm assuming you still have to go back. Do you do like how often do you have to go back to the hospital? Is it like normal checkups?
I go to normal doctor's appointment.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I would assume you still have to go to things like that.
Ring was damaged and there's really no way of fixing it.
Oh, interesting. I didn't understand. I didn't realize that. So that's an interesting side effect from the whole thing. Wow. Let's switch gears a little bit and go back to when obviously you were part of the Chiefs mess in the Navy, leader for a lot of the sailors out there. And I just want to kind of get your opinion. And I love picking people's brains about their thoughts on leadership and taking care of people. So when you were in the Navy and, as a leader, most of us in the Navy had very diverse groups of people that we led. Any advice for leaders who might find themselves in the same position? They got a random young, I think I was always amazed at like just the range of age groups, especially on the ships, range of age groups and just the backgrounds of everybody. And it was always amazing where for the most part, we all got along and we're all able to work together. But I mean, it doesn't just happen. I mean, leaders like yourself make it happen. So any advice for people out there in the same position?
A good leader questions everything, both work-related and personal well-being.
I appreciate the fact that you brought up the personal stuff, because the personal well-being, because I think a lot of people don't do that. And like some people like to call it that intrusive leadership. I don't necessarily like to call it that. I feel like it's more of just getting to know your folks, right? And the more you know about them, and it's I always like to have a sort of family atmosphere in the folks I led, and I thought the more you knew about them personally, and the more you just like talk to them throughout the day, it just really that really helped the other leadership stuff that you had to get through, all the hard work and all the things like that. Any other general advice leadership wise you'd like to give out? What about we can kind of last thing for you, I guess. What about our immediate goals? Like, what are your goals now? I know, you're obviously still working through the recovery. Any immediate goals? I think you had told me before you're doing some sort of martial arts to help with some of that. But what's kind of like the immediate goals at the moment?
My marriage and my health. Active duty. Just to keep up with jujitsu. My dog. My marriage and my health. Luckily the government pays me more. Now than active duty.
Oh, that's true with the retirement, right? So yeah, that's good. And then that's some hopefully easy goals with the dog and taking care of the wife and things like that. So, well, that's a good thing. I think we all need some sort of goal to reach for, right? And I know for you with the recovery stuff, it probably helps. So, but look, I know this was kind of short, but I really appreciate you coming on. Your story is just an amazing story. Um, Crazy recovery. I hope maybe we can have you on again, in the future, and we can talk about this again and see how things are going. And go ahead. No, you're welcome. You're welcome. It was funny. Bob and I were talking before we started recording here. Our ship that we served on is getting decommissioned, and it's weird. Ships are almost like another person in a way. It's like a weird entity, and it's sad to see it get decommissioned. So it's kind of this is kind of a poignant time to do the podcast too, just because it's kind of a sad time for us as we see our ship that was such a part of our lives go get decommissioned and get put away for a bit. Maybe it'll come up some other day. We don't know. But yeah, thanks again, Bob. And like I said, hopefully we'll catch you again in the future. And please keep in touch. And good luck with the recovery. And say hello to the family and the dog.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Your banner if you need help, and raise your banner to let others know you're a safe person to turn to. Until next time, stick around and keep on moving forward. Research conducted by Matrixa Research Group. Artwork created by Jenna Bordinger at jbordingerart.com or at jbordinger_art on Instagram. And music by Josiah Renton, DJ Slowbro.